Now, I'll give Verizon props here, as it were. They haven't done anything to really cause me to lash out at them in terms of FiOS. DSL probably, I mean, their DSL service is probably just crap. But I think that's DSL as a technology, because DSL across the board is horrible. But in terms of FiOS, I mean, my internet connection is rock solid. I pay a premium for it, I do, but I get great I get great upload, I get great download, and I can do anything I want with it. I'm streaming constantly with it. The last time I checked, they don't have it on their website. I actually have to configure it in my router because they don't have any monitoring services on their website for the internet connection. But I checked my internet, my switch. It's acting as a switch right now, but it can be configured to be a router. The last time I checked, in 1 month, I pushed around 900 gigabytes of data, up and down combined. And I've never gotten a letter from them. Nobody's ever complained to me. So I'm kind of I gotta kind of say, hey, props to Verizon here. You guys seem to be doing something right. I mean, I'm paying for an unlimited service, and you're giving it to me, which is cool.
Well, another part of this is problem with having the caps is they keep offering faster and faster speed. But with a cap, that just means you're going to hit the cap faster.
Well, yeah, they keep offering faster and faster speeds with a cap, but they never increase the cap.
Right.
It's the same cap across the board. And see, again, that's another thing that just reeks of we are trying to corner you into this hole, into using our services.
In fact, as far as the caps going with the cell phones, today it came out that T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T have all moved to block the operation of a Wi-Fi tether app in Android phones.
Yes, it was. I believe it's called free Wi-Fi tether or something like that.
Yeah. It's a regular. It's not nothing fancy. It just allows you to.
It's in the market. In fact, I'm going to the market right now. I'm going to look for the tethering application, and I believe all three of the major players have tried to block it,
except Sprint. Sprint has not.
I think Sprint hasn't blocked it because Sprint just doesn't care. Here it is. Yeah. It's called Wireless Tether for Rooted Android Devices, or for root users. And what it does is you have to have a couple of things. You have to have a custom firmware. You have to be root. You have to have a NetFilter enabled kernel, which 99% of the Android phones out there don't have. So unless you've rooted it and you've put in a custom kernel there, you probably can't use it. But basically, it turns it into an ad hoc wireless network, and then it goes through the phone and it tethers through the phone to your data connection. The reason they've blocked this, and I don't agree with them, but I can see why they've blocked this application, is they don't want users who are not paying for tethering service to tether.
Okay, this is the big one that really ticks me off. You and everyone else are in the mindset that tethering is a service. It's not. It's a basic function of your hardware.
Oh no, I agree. In fact, I tethered on T-Mobile forever because it was just a basic function of the phone I used.
Right, and this mindset of charging you for something your phone can do anyway.
It's just, the way I see it is I'm just using the data on the phone. What's the problem? That's the way I see it as. You've given me this 2 gigabyte cap, 2.5 gigabyte cap. Why can't I use that 2.5 gigabytes?
Yeah, I mean, and
you're basically boxing me into all these definitions of what using your data plan is about, that I no longer think I have this data plan. I basically am just a siphon for money at that point.
Yeah, they did not block the wired tethered app, which means you hook up your phone with a USB cable. Right. Yeah. They didn't block that, but wireless they did.
It's very interesting that they block the ad hoc wireless network as opposed to just the USB one. I don't quite get that. Now I am happy to say that Virgin Mobile has not blocked it. I just downloaded it now while we were doing this, so they haven't blocked the application. It installed perfectly fine. So Virgin Mobile, if you've got that service, they haven't blocked it. I don't think they care because they don't charge you per gigabyte over. They just knock you down in speed, much like T-Mobile does. But it's really interesting that they would block the ad hoc wireless rather than just the USB one. And even then, you can still sideload it by putting it on an SD card.
Yeah, and well, that's one thing they're counting on. They're counting on their users not being savvy enough to understand how sideloading works, or to even know that it's possible.
How can you... Maybe this is just being too techie for too long, but how can you not know how to sideload something? It's just a .apk. You put it on the SD card, you get a file manager, you click on it, and it installs. You
lost about half the people listening after APK.
Really? It's just a file. It's like a zip file. You shove it on the... Maybe I've just been a techie for too long, and I think this is side... Because I think people hear the term sideloading, and they think, wow! You're just putting a file on the phone. You're just using the SD card to do it.
It's a matter of people are still thinking of their phones as phones, and not realizing that what they have in their pocket is a small computer.
It's a portable computer, yeah.
Right.
I guess maybe I come from that mindset of, hey man, if it's got a processor in it, I can make it do some cool stuff. Maybe that's just my own personal problem. I don't know. Am I too much of a nerd?
No.
I think that's the problem.
Well, I'm probably too much of a nerd too, because I know all this stuff too.
Because when I learned that... Because I instinctively did this, Nash. I just knew that I could find these applications for Android, because I was never big into Android before. This is my first Android phone. This LG Optimus 5 is my first Android phone ever, right? And I just instinctively searched for applications for Android online. Not on my phone, not in the marketplace. Just searched for it online, found a few places with some free applications, put it on the SD card, and this was the natural process for me. And I clicked on the APK, and it was installed. It was just so natural to me that I have been in the computer world too long, I think. if that is not the natural course of action people take to load stuff on computers.
Well, it's people I think you've encountered this too. Most people are absolutely terrified of their computers. They are terrified of they don't know how something works. They don't know how to find out how it works, and they don't know how to. They're scared they're going to click the wrong thing and it's going to explode.
The only thing I ever dread is bricking my phone, and even then there are 1,000 ways to unbrick it.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's just more tedious. But it's just a matter of some people, they cannot wrap their heads around some of the concepts, or even just the idea of Google searching for a simple solution to... like how do I get my my MP3s onto my Android phone? Just the simple stuff like that. People don't even think to understand how to
really, because I just attach the phone as a USB device and it acts as an SD card host.
Yeah, it seems simple, but
it just seems simple to me. Like, oh, it's got an SD card and it must act as an SD card host. It must. It's in the specifications. All right, I guess. I don't know. So what do you make of this story, Nash?
Of the tethering thing?
Yeah.
It's a bad trend. And I think
a bad trend.
It's one, and I'm going to blame Apple for this one. It's one of those things where Apple has taught its users that is teaching people that you only get to do with the phone what we say you can do with the phone.
That's a bad trend.
And I think I did not want to see it carry over to Android, but the carriers want it to because they like the amount of control and they like the ability to sell you for extra $10 to $30 a month the right to use something that's built into the phone already.
It's kind of like DLC that comes out that's already on a disc for a video game.
Mm-hmm.
It does that irks me. It does kind of irk me. That you've already had this content ready, and now you're just saying, hey, you want to play this content? Pay us extra. It's not that it's illegal. It's not even immoral. It's planned out, sure, but it just, on a basic level, it just irks me. And I wish I could tell you it was immoral. I wish I could say it was illegal. But I can't say either one of those things. It is a well-thought-out, well-planned business proposition.
But it's
But on the
sleazy.
basic human level, it makes me want to punch you in the face.
It's sleazy, is what it is.
It is used car salesman type of sleaze, is what it is.
You know, you get the undercoat for free.
Oh, great, thanks.
Yeah.
Just what I needed. I needed to make sure the bottom of my car wasn't going to pick up any dirt. Thanks.
Yeah.
One more story before we have to head off, Nash.
Sure.
And I want to hear what you have to say about this. These leaked documents from WikiLeaks may have forced the U.S. to speed up its bin Laden raid. What do you make of this? WikiLeaks released a set of leaked Guantanamo prisoner files to the public last week, and among them, a document dated from 2008 mentioned both Osama bin Laden's trusted courier's name and Abbottabad, the city in which Osama had been hiding inside. Now, there's speculation that fearing Al-Qaeda realized the courier may have been tracked and move Osama, the U.S. administration accelerated their plan and attacked the target site over the weekend. What do you make of this? I'm looking at the highlighted information here, and it says, and here's the quote that people are sort of debating here. In July 2003, detainee received a letter from UBL's designated courier, Mawlai Abd al-Khaliq, requesting detainee take on the responsibility of collecting donations, organization travel, and disbursement of funds to Pakistan. UBL stated detainee would be the official messenger between UBL and others in Pakistan. In mid-2003, detainee moved his family to Abbottabad and worked between Abbottabad and Peshawar. What do you make of that? Do you think the U.S. moved their actions up in light of WikiLeaks releasing these documents?
That's one of the, I would give it some credence. I would say it's possible. It's one of those who was it speculation they moved it up, or was it an actual confirmation from?
It's just speculation at this point.
Okay.
There's no real quotes about this right now.
I would never expect to hear the U.S. government acknowledge that an outside force pushed them to do anything. That's just one of those things you cannot admit in public. But I think it could be possible. And
interesting that the information came out in 2008 during the Bush administration's push to capture UBL, Osama bin Laden, rather than during Obama's
dude, everybody's been doing that.
Oh, God, everybody's been doing that. It's so horrible. It's just the American tongue. It's not built to distinguish between Osama and Obama. So horrible. So there was speculation that the U.S. Sort of preempted its campaign and brought forward the attack. The speculation is they brought it up by a month. Let me ask you this then: Does this put WikiLeaks in the wrong? I mean, is WikiLeaks in the wrong anyway? What do you think?
Sadly, I'm going to have to say yeah, because I understand there are things our government doesn't tell us, and they should tell us, and we need to know them. On the other hand, there are things our government doesn't tell us because they don't want people who are operating completely outside of the law and international norms, like a frickin' terrorist, to know that they know. And while I want a more transparent government, if you're going to release information about the government, you've got to be so careful what you say.
You know what I would really like the government to tell us, and this is just more of a personal thing. A lot of people sort of flinch at this idea. I want them to tell us where all our nukes are. Just pinpoint them on a map. Tell us where they are.
Why is that?
And I'll tell you why. I want them pinpointed, and I want it updated regularly for two reasons. One, I want to be sure that if we're ever in a nuclear holocaust and any place outside those pinpoints were attacked with nukes, that we could say on a humanitarian scale the people that attacked us were assholes. And then two, if the United States government should ever collapse, I want to know where those things are so they don't end up on the black market.
Yeah. That's one of those things. Russia had that
whenever
problem.
I bring that idea up, people flinch at it. They're like, no, we don't want to know where the nukes are.
Russia had that exact same problem. Actually.
Exactly. It's just one of those things where it's just like, maybe we should cut this off at the pass and just say, listen, these are where the nukes are. They're in highly secured military complexes. But then again, there are other things about the government I don't want released because we know we have operatives out there who could be compromised should information about them get out there. And I get that. And
someone in the channel said WikiLeaks is acting outside their intended purpose. And yeah, I think they've lost it. They've lost any focus they had to providing a voice for the voiceless, and now they are providing publicity to the